Alice was having a particularly rough day. The bus had splashed muddy water on her favorite cloth, her coffee had spilled all over her notes for the job interview she was rushing to, and to top it all off, she had just missed the train by mere seconds. So when she saw a man in a sharp suit walking briskly down the sidewalk, she couldn't contain her frustration. "Hey, watch where you're going," Alice snapped, stepping to the side to avoid colliding with the man. The man stopped, his eyebrows raising in surprise at her tone. He looked at her for a moment, a hint of confusion in his eyes, before nodding curtly and continuing on his way. Alice huffed in annoyance, muttering under her breath about rude people as she checked her watch and quickened her pace. Little did Alice know, that man she had just scolded was none other than David Winters, the CEO of the very company she was about to interview with. She arrived at the office building still flustered, wearing a smile despite her morning mishaps. She made her way to the receptionist. "I have an interview with Mr. Winters," Alice said, trying to compose herself. The receptionist gave her a polite smile. "Ah, yes, he's been expecting you. Please, have a seat, and I'll let him know you're here." Alice took a seat in the sleek, modern lobby, taking a few deep breaths to calm her nerves. She glanced around, noticing the impressive art on the walls and the hustle and bustle of employees going about their day. After a few minutes, the receptionist called her name, and Alice stood up, smoothing out her wrinkled blouse as she followed the receptionist to Mr. Winters' office. As she entered the room, she couldn't help but feel a pang of nervousness. The man she had scolded earlier was seated behind the desk, looking every bit the powerful CEO in his well-tailored shirt and confident demeanor. "Ms. Johnson, please, have a seat," David Winters said, gesturing to the chair in front of his desk. Alice sat down, trying to keep her composure as she launched into her prepared answers to his questions. She talked about her experience, her skills, and why she was the perfect fit for the position. Mr. Winters listened intently, his expression unreadable. After what felt like an eternity of questions, Mr. Winters finally leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers together as he regarded her. "Well, Ms. Johnson, I must say, you certainly have impressive qualifications," he said slowly. Alice felt a glimmer of hope ignite in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, she had a chance at this job despite her disastrous morning. However, Mr. Winters continued, and Alice's heart sank, "I can't help but recall our earlier encounter on the street." Alice's eyes widened in realization, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "I apologize, Mr. Winters," she said quickly, feeling the need to explain herself. "It's just been a rough morning, and I let my frustrations get the best of me." To her surprise, Mr. Winters chuckled, the sound rich and warm. "No need to apologize, Ms. Johnson. In fact, I found your candidness rather refreshing." Alice blinked in confusion, not sure what to make of his reaction. "I must admit, I was curious to see how you would handle a stressful situation," Mr. Winters said, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "And you certainly didn't disappoint." Alice couldn't believe what she was hearing. Here she was, convinced she had blown her chance at the job, only to find out that Mr. Winters was actually impressed by her honesty. In fact, Mr. Winters continued, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips, "I think you might be just the person we need here at the company." Alice's heart leapt with joy, a smile breaking across her face. She couldn't believe her luck. "Thank you so much, Mr. Winters," she said, feeling a surge of gratitude. "I promise, you won't regret giving me this opportunity." As she left the office that day, Alice couldn't help but think about how things had turned out. She had been rude to a stranger on the street, never realizing that he was the CEO of the company she was hoping to work for. But somehow, against all odds, it had worked out in her favor. From that day forward, Alice made sure to always be a little kinder to strangers, just in case one of them turned out to be her future boss. And as she settled into her new job, grateful for the chance she had been given, she couldn't help but smile at the thought of the strange twist of fate that had brought her here. Alice settled into her new role at the company, grateful for the opportunity that had come her way despite the rocky start. As she got to know her co-workers and learned more about the company culture, she couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something missing. One day, during a team meeting, the topic of employee well-being came up. It was mentioned that some employees seemed to be struggling with the stress of work and personal life, and productivity was suffering as a result. Alice's mind immediately went back to her own rough morning, the spilled coffee and missed trains, and she knew exactly what they needed. "I think we should consider developing a counseling department here at the company," Alice spoke up, surprising herself with the suddenness of her suggestion. The room fell silent as her co-workers turned to look at her, some with curiosity, others with skepticism. "A counseling department?" one of her colleagues echoed, eyebrows raised. "Yes," Alice said firmly, her confidence growing with each word. "Somewhere employees can go when they're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or just need someone to talk to. We could offer counseling services, stress management workshops, and resources for maintaining a healthy work-life balance." The idea seemed to hang in the air for a moment, and Alice could feel the weight of everyone's gaze on her. She held her breath, waiting for a response. To her surprise, it was Mr. Winters who spoke first, his expression thoughtful. "That's actually a very interesting proposal, Ms. Johnson," he said, nodding slowly. "Employee well-being is crucial to the success of our company, and having a counseling department could really make a difference." The rest of the team seemed to come alive with excitement, discussing the possibilities and potential benefits. Before Alice knew it, they were brainstorming ideas for the new department, from counseling sessions to yoga classes to mindfulness workshops. Over the next few weeks, Alice threw herself into the project with enthusiasm. She researched best practices for employee well-being, reached out to experts in the field, and worked closely with HR to develop a comprehensive plan. Finally, the day came when the counseling department was officially launched. There was a small ceremony to mark the occasion, with speeches from Mr. Winters and other company leaders. Alice stood at the front of the room, feeling a swell of pride as she looked out at her co-workers. "I want to thank everyone who contributed to making this department a reality," Alice said, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "I truly believe that by investing in our employees' well-being, we are investing in the success of our company." The counseling department was an instant success. Employees flocked to the workshops and counseling sessions, eager to learn new coping strategies and find support during challenging times. Productivity increased, morale soared, and the company began to thrive in ways it never had before.